Morning. Welcome back to another episode of Stand on Guard. I'm your host, David Creighton, broadcasting to you live from Ottawa. Yes, it's still merch week. It's the one wearing the hat and the t-shirt. Of course, this has played brilliantly into what's been happening in Canada with our loss of freedom of religion and our loss of freedom of speech. And of course, the Online Harms Act is on the horizon. But guess what? Mark Carney's going to call it the Online Safety Act, just like the UK has done. When we come back, more about that.
The Prime Minister lied and his minions continue to lie.
We need political change, but we also need to resolve to resist. Yes, please like the station, subscribe, and resubscribe if you have to, because as I say every day, YouTube loves to unsubscribe people because they want my numbers to drop. Thank you, everybody, for helping me attain the 60,000 subscriber level. Probably about a year or two after a lot of people reach that plateau, but I'm grateful. This has been a tough go. It's been incremental. It's been a slow mountain climb. And believe me, I feel sometimes like I'm scaling Mount Everest to get to at least 100,000 because I have been suppressed on a daily basis. Yes, we all have our complaints. A lot of other folks, good folks out there, are being suppressed. A lot of folks are not being suppressed. They're being actively promoted. Sometimes I wonder why, but it's not. Mine is to do or die, not to wonder why. So I thank you for that. I really, really do. That's the plateau we've been looking at for quite some time. Now, the Online Harms Act, you recall we used to talk about that, Bill C-63. We used to talk about that every day when Justin Trudeau got that as far as second reading in the House of Commons before he prorogued Parliament and the bill died. But thanks to Mark Carney, it could be back. And here it is in the UK, of course. This is 2 years ago. Yes, not this story isn't, but the fact that the Online Safety Act in Great Britain continues to reverberate and continues to attack free speech is very much alive. And one of UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer, Sir Keir Starmer's ministers, claimed that Nigel Farage of the British Reform Party was just like Jimmy Savile for opposing the Online Safety Act, because the Online Safety Act is all about protecting children, which of course is an utter load of BS, just like it was never about protecting children in Canada. We already have laws protecting children from kiddie porn or protecting women from revenge porn. We already have laws in the books for that. This was all camouflage from day one, and it's camouflage in Great Britain. So what's happened lately to reignite the debate over this? Now you have to use a biometric to verify your age on social media. And of course, millions, potentially millions of people are reaching out to VPN now because they don't want the government to know where they are, what they're doing. This is all about mass surveillance. It always is. As soon as the Online Safety Act became law in Great Britain, how did Keir Starmer use it? How did the government of the UK use it? To survey people and to lock people up. Keir Starmer locked up more people, as he called them, keyboard warriors, for protesting mass migration in Great Britain. Keir Starmer locked them up. And he actually had to remove rapists, thieves, and killers from the prison system to make room for all of the social media people who were guilty of thought crimes and hate crimes and whatnot. That's a fact. And that's actually what happened here. Before I forget, I want to say the Tsunami Watch has been downgraded, and it's affecting, of course, my hometown, Comox on Vancouver Island. I don't think the folks there need worry. But I reached out this morning to my old high school friend, Kelly Everill Zotek, and her husband, who are faithful watchers of this show. And Kelly, God bless you and your husband. I can't wait to get out there and see you both. I know you love the show so much, and I so much appreciate it. And I have to tell you, Kelly was one of the best people I ever knew in high school. She was so full of life, so positive. She taught me lessons because I took myself far too seriously in those days. She can attest to that. Very seriously. But Kelly taught me a lot of life's lessons. Just being in the same homeroom with Kelly, and she was always just a fun person to be around. And I can't wait to see Kelly and her husband, whom I've never met actually, and I'm sure he's a butcher. I know that, runs a butcher shop. And of course, the tsunami potentially could have been devastating. Thank God, it's not going to affect the folks on Vancouver Island the way it could have. Might affect some folks in Tofino, Long Beach, where it's potentially going to be a little higher, but I don't think it's going to affect the east coast of Vancouver Island too much. So I just want to say, for all of the folks I know on Vancouver Island, know and love, we're hoping for the best and praying for you, and I hope this is going to be downgraded further. But thank you very much for watching the show. I know so many of you do. Now I want to talk a bit more about this online Safety Act, because the privacy concerns, and I think this is taken from Grok here, these requirements for age verification, often involving selfies or government ID uploads, has raised privacy worries. While platforms like X and Reddit use third-party services, i.e., sorry, I was going to say IE, persona, to anonymize data and comply with data protection laws, users remain concerned about handling over personal information to access content. Experts, including Alan Woodward from the University of Surrey, has called the Act's surveillance provisions technically dangerous and ethically questionable, warning of potential mass surveillance and mission creep by security forces. Well, that, of course, is exactly what the Keir Starmer government wants, is mission creep and mass surveillance. This is what this bill and now this law has always been about. It's about mass surveillance of the population. It's about monitoring what people watch and criminalizing what they say, what they write, and how they communicate on social media. It's always been about that. And so, if we can go to this the story here again. So, what kills me about this story, what is so ironic about this story, is that the UK government, of course, members of the UK government actively protected Jimmy Savile. And you're wondering, who the hell is Jimmy Savile? Well, he was one of the most prominent entertainers, personalities in Great Britain for decades. He had a television show. He was a singer, entertainer, musician, speaker. Uh, People thought he was inspirational. Problem was, he was a chronic and a serial pedophile, if I can say that word. And I'll say it just once, so you know what I'm talking about. And of course, when he died, only after he died did all of this come out about how he was getting away with SA against children all of these years. And he was actively protected by the British establishment, including members of the Conservative Party and the Labour Party. So for this Labour minister to make this comparison with Nigel Farage is not just disgusting; it's completely hypocritical. Because who protected this guy for decades? And he was never subject to any of the laws, because he was above the law, and the government in the UK ensured that, the establishment in the UK ensured that he would never be punished for what he did. And I think that's very, very important to acknowledge. I'm sorry, my producer just handed me something here. Yeah, I want to thank the subscribers before I forget here, and let me put myself back on, because I always forget the obvious. Thank you, subscribers, for reaching that 60,000 subscriber plateau. And I also want to mention that we've got 3,000 subscribers on Substack, and we are also on Rumble now on a daily basis. And our Rumble subscribers are growing. And remember, it's free to subscribe. And it's always free to subscribe. And I appreciate all of you who do that. And but a lot of people are saying, are the barbershops closed in your area? No, I have to mention this because I'm about a month overdue for a haircut. Let's see, for an ex-military guy, it's painful, but haven't been able to get in to see my hair cutter in this town. Her name is Chanel, and she watches this broadcast once in a while. And I'm waiting for Chanel to be available again for a haircut. So that's the reason I haven't gone in. I'm booked for August 6th, I think. So anyway, I know you didn't need to know that, but I thought I'd share that with you anyway. Want to move on now. We've got so much to deal with, but here's an interesting bit with Donald Trump talking about the Online Safety Act.
You have a successful social media site. There are new powers here to censor your site, state-mandated powers.
To censor my site?
To censor your site and Twitter
Truth?
and Facebook.
Truth?
I mean Truth. Is that okay?
Well, I don't think he's going to censor my site because I say only good things. Will you please uncensor my site?
Yeah, we're not censoring anyone. We've got some measures which are there to protect children, in particular from sites like suicide sites. We've had too many cases in the United Kingdom of young children taking their own lives, and when you look through their social media, they've been accessing.
Can you smell the bullshit here? It reeks. Oh, we're not censoring anybody. Yeah, you're censoring everybody who doesn't comply with your narrative, Sir Keir Starmer, or shall I say, Herr Keir Starmer.
Sites which talk about suicide and encouraging, if you like, children down that road, and that is what we want to stop. There's nothing about censoring free speech.
But that treats all adults like children.
This country is the proud.
But that can treat all adults like children.
Free speech in this country has been for a very long time. We're very, very proud of it.
It's just incredible how these people lie. They just constantly lie. They're not proud of free speech in Britain. They're trying to destroy free speech on a daily basis. Why did you call people who opposed your mass migration policy, even though you've recently admitted it's faulty? You jailed these people. You convicted them. You put them in jail for thought crimes, for hate crimes, because they dared to talk about the protests that were going on. And you called them keyboard warriors. You had judges proudly saying, I'm going to send you away for the rest of your life because you dared to oppose the government's legislation. You dared to question the narrative. We're going to send you away for the rest of your life. And the cops went crazy in Britain. Give them enough power, give them enough rope, and they will go crazy because they just love to arrest people for free speech, especially in Britain. And for this clown, and that's what he is. He's a clown, Keir Starmer. I can't take the man seriously. This is the same goof who talks about going to war with Russia. Well, that would be national suicide for Great Britain. It can't even defend itself. It could literally not defend itself. It's got more admirals than it has battleships. So it's completely delusional. He is completely delusional, and he lies to your face about we're not infringing upon your free speech. We're not infringing upon your free speech here. No, we're just trying to protect children. That's it.
Has a tremendous problem, and we do too. But we've sealed our borders. We have nobody coming in, and we have hundreds of thousands of people being taken out, and the bad ones first. And I think we're doing a very good job of that. But we had, I mean, it literally registered 0 people last month. You probably saw that. Nobody. And Europe has a very similar problem. I think they're going to end up in the same place. You might as well go there quicker. And the other thing I say to Europe, we will not allow a windmill to be built in the United States. They're killing us. They're killing the beauty of our scenery, our valleys, our beautiful plains. And I'm not talking about airplanes. I'm talking about beautiful plains, beautiful areas in the United States. And you look up and you see windmills all over the place. It's a horrible thing. It's the most expensive form of energy. It's no good. They're made in China.
I gotta say, oh, thank God somebody's talking common sense on windmills. Yes, we've segued to windmills. And this, I think, is one of the other issues of the hour here, because we'll get to BC Premier David Eby, who yesterday I described as being as tall as a giraffe but having the brain of a gnat, because he doesn't seem to understand that windmills are killing the birds and they can't produce enough energy to power a small town.
Almost all of them. When they start to rust and rot in 8 years, you can't really turn them off. You can't bury them. They won't let you bury the propellers, you know, the props, because there's a certain type of fiber that doesn't go well with the land. That's what they say. The environmentalists say you can't bury them because the fiber doesn't go well with the land. In other words, if you bury it, it will harm our soil. The whole thing is a con job. It's very expensive. And in all fairness, Germany tried it, and wind doesn't work. You need subsidy for wind, and energy should not need subsidy. With energy, you make money. You don't lose money. But more important than that is it ruins the landscape. It kills the birds. They're noisy. You know, you have a certain place in the Massachusetts area that over the last 20 years had 1 or 2 whales wash ashore, and over the last short period of time, they had 18, okay? Because it's driving them loco. It's driving them crazy. Now, windmills will not come. It's not going to happen in the United States. And it's very expensive. And I would love to see. I mean, today I'm playing the best course, I think, in the world, Turnberry. Even though I own it, it's probably the best course in the world, right? And I look over the horizon and I see 9 windmills. It's like great. At the end of the 18th, I said, isn't that a shame? What a shame. You have the same thing all over Europe in particular. You have windmills all over the place. Some of the countries prohibit it, but people ought to know that these windmills are very destructive. They're environmentally unsound, just the exact opposite. Because the environmentalists, they're not really environmentalists. They're political hacks. These are people that they almost want to harm the country. But you look at these beautiful landscapes all over the, you know, the world. Many countries have gotten smart. They will not allow it. They will not. It's the worst form of energy, the most expensive form of energy. But windmills should not be allowed. Okay.
We're going to put David Eby on in a second to act like an idiot and to talk like an idiot. But I wanted to remind you, why is the Online Safety Act pertinent to Canada? Because remember this? From the election campaign, here's Mark Carney saying, watch out, Canada, censorship
Large
is coming.
American online platforms have become seas of racism, misogyny, anti-Semitism, Islamophobia, and hate in all its forms. And they're being used by criminals to harm our children. My government will act. And today we're announcing our plan to fight crime, to protect Canadians, and to build communities that are safe, secure, and strong. A plan to make Canada secure, to make Canada strong.
You can't handle the truth. Resolve to resist.
Okay, so why do I say Mark Carney is going to rename the Online Harms Act the Online Safety Act? Because that's what the UK did. And he takes his marching orders from Europe. And remember, he says Canadians are Europeans. Geography, I don't think you understand it very well, Mark Carney. Even philosophically, we're not Europeans. We are more in tune with the United States in so many ways. But Mark Carney correlates safety with censorship in that clip. Yes, we're going to stop all of the misinformation and disinformation, meaning things I disagree with and things that run counter to the Liberal Party's narrative. We're going to censor all of that off the internet, and we're going to make it safe. So it's going to be the Online Safety Act. That's what he's going to introduce, because the Online Harms Act has already got a lot of bad publicity from people like me, but also from John Carpay of the Center for Constitutional Freedoms, Canadian Center for Constitutional Freedoms, from a lot of jurisprudence, from lawyers who recognize this is a very dangerous step, because our bill had a hate crimes component even more dangerous than that in the UK bill. Mark Carney will surely reintroduce it. just change the name. So thinks we're so. A lot of Canadians are, because they voted for Mark Carney's party. And they thought Mark Carney was going to be the savior of Canada when he's bankrupting this country beyond belief. And he's bringing this country to the brink of economic catastrophe. And he's bringing us closer to having no freedom of speech at all and no freedom of religion. That's what last week demonstrated with Sean Feucht, who came here, an American evangelist, preacher, pastor, musician. He was banned in every Canadian city he tried to go to. He had to go to churches, and one of them was fined. We'll get to Sean in a minute. But that's where freedom of religion is in Canada. And Mark Carney said nothing. Now let's listen to the premier we all love to despise. This socialist. And I could go farther. But he is the most leftist premier in Canada. He pushes crazy agenda. And here he is saying, bring your windmills to Canada so we can kill more birds, kill more whales. You remember when environmentalists were concerned about saving the whales? I'm old enough to remember that. Yeah. I grew up in Vancouver Island. We had gray whales, killer whales. Off the coast, you could go whale watching. We loved our whales. And yeah, we thought they were being overhunted. We wanted to save the whales. That was sort of a generic belief. Everybody left and right thought, yeah, maybe we should conserve the whale population, because if we keep killing these wonderful creatures, they're going to be extinct. That's what Greenpeace used to be concerned about. It's not anymore. That's what environmentalists used to be concerned about. They're not anymore. They want to kill more whales and more birds.
To address climate change at the same time as we're growing our economy. And I couldn't help but notice the President of the United States, Donald Trump, saying that he doesn't like those windmills that produce electricity. They interfere with the views from his golf courses. Let me tell you, to all American clean energy producers, come relocate to British Columbia. We are the clean energy capital of the world. We're going to do it. We're creating energy here. We're supportive of clean energy, and we will continue to be so. You can join the amazing more than 700 medical professionals that have applied to join our health service from the United States, and we welcome you, and you are welcome here.
Yeah, come on, bring your windmills to Canada, and bring your solar panels to Canada. You know, solar panels don't decompose for like centuries, and they're toxic. This is the insanity of the so-called green energy revolution. It's insane. It's nuts. So we put all of these solar panels in landfills, and they just sit there and seep toxic resins into the earth so they can poison people. And the windmills occupy vast spaces, creating enough energy to perhaps heat a house. It's stupidity. And people like David Eby, I joke about him having the brain of a gnat. He knows this, but he's so political. He's so on board with this agenda. It's all about power for these people. That's what they use the environment for. That's what they use green energy for, power. So it's a means of attaining and sustaining their power. That's all this is about. Now, quickly, want to move to this. Pierre Poilievre was at an all-candidates meeting last night. And of course, the most farcical by-election in the history of Canada. Over 200 people technically on the ballot, but people have to write in the name now, right? Okay. So hopefully the people reading these ballots will be fair when they say, oh, does this person really mean Pierre Poilievre?
And now I want to take the local issues and provide national leadership to fight against the electric vehicle mandate, because driving a pickup truck is a local issue in the communities across this region.
A loud welcome for Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre. A by-election debate in Battle River Crowfoot Tuesday night featured 10 candidates. That includes the Liberals and NDP.
I come from about a 35-year career in business, and I'm very thankful for it. And I like Mark Carney's government and his approach to leading from a position of experience. I'm asking to be your local responsive representative on the government benches.
All right, Steve, I have to pause here and say I'll have to give this guy credit for guts. To make a comment like that in Battle River, Crowfoot, takes a tremendous amount of courage to say, I'm running for the Liberal Party. Actually, he doesn't say a Liberal, he says the government benches. So maybe he's not as courageous as I thought, but to stand up and say, I'm on Mark Carney's team, not a popular statement. And you have to give the people credit there. What they didn't boo him out of, mild, there was some tepid applause, but there is no hostile reaction because they're tolerant. They're tolerant of other people's ideas in Battle River, Crowfoot. They might know what they believe, but they're tolerant. Yeah, you can believe what you want. You can run here. We're sure as hell not going to vote for you, but go ahead and run and go ahead and say you're on Mark Carney's team. We'll just laugh at you.
Thank you.
Why are we running? We're running as advocates. We want to be a voice. We want to bring issues that are otherwise ignored by the government.
Normally, 10 people running is a large field, but that's only 5% of the total. As of Tuesday night, more than 210 candidates are confirmed to be on the ballot. The majority of them are part of a protest calling for electoral reform. Because of this, Elections Canada announced anyone voting will have to write in their candidate of choice, and you can't just write the party. Most of the night was a normal debate featuring core issues like affordability, healthcare, and immigration. One topic was on democracy and government accountability. This was when the longest ballot got the spotlight.
This longest ballot crap, that's got to stop. We need one person who will be the official agent. That way we don't have one person sponsoring 200 people. But first and foremost, you don't know what's going on here unless you live here.
Getting a pipeline built from Hardisty over to Prince Rupert or to Kitimat, that is a local issue that requires national leadership. Protecting your right to own a hunting rifle, that is a local issue that requires national leadership. Fixing the prison in Drumheller is a local issue that needs national leadership.
Most voters lining up did not take too kindly to the longest ballot effort, with some calling for change.
That is absolutely terrible. It's just awful. I can't believe that that's happening in Canada. They should have to pay money right off the bat.
Eyesight's probably going to be a problem if I had to read a list that's 10 feet long.
I just think it's ridiculous. I don't think the same person should be able to sponsor all those different people.
Some voters we spoke to also say they already made up their minds and cast their ballots before coming here to watch the candidates debate well ahead of by-election day. Reporting from Camrose, James Dunn, City News.
Well, the story you've all been waiting for, and I didn't even advertise it this morning. You remember Katy Perry when she first burst onto the scene? Yes, very highly sexualized. You look at her CD covers, they were very sexual. But she really appealed to adolescent males, I would say 16 to, well, let's say, 13 to 17. She really appealed to that age group of males who saw Katy as sort of their idealized woman. Now, Justin Trudeau, I'm sure, who still acts and talks and behaves like an adolescent, has finally found his dream woman. Now, I thought he might have hooked up with something quite different, but apparently he and Katy Perry are a number. Let's learn some more about this.
Now just spotted these two added again. I'm sorry, it's on. That's shagging. There's that word that I'm not meant to say. Breaking today, it is the most gruesome couple in celebrity political history. Can you believe this? Katy Perry, the pop star, the former wife of Russell Brand, and the former fiance of Orlando Bloom, with Justin Trudeau, the Canadian Prime Minister, that little authoritarian weasel. But yes, these TMZ pictures have spotted them on a dinner date in Montreal And there's even video of them at it. Now, this is obviously one type of coupling, I think, that no one was asking for. But here's how TMZ reported the news. Katy Perry saying bon appetit to Justin Trudeau as the pair were seen chowing down at a swanky restaurant in Montreal. In new footage obtained by TMZ, the pop star and former Canadian Prime Minister were seen together Monday night at Le Voleon. Katy appears interested in what Trudeau has to say, leaning in across the table during what looks like a thoughtful conversation. An eyewitness tells us the two sipped cocktails and shared several dishes, including one with lobster. Apparently, security guards were keeping tabs on both of them, sitting at the bar with their backs turned, monitoring the date through the mirrored glass. At one point, we're told the chef came to greet the duo, and after their meal, KP and JT made their way to the kitchen to thank the staff personally. Katy's making her way through Canada while on tour, performing tonight in Ottawa with another show tomorrow back in Montreal. As you know, Katy's been enjoying single life following her split from Orlando Bloom. The two share a daughter. Meanwhile, Trudeau and his ex-wife Sophie separated in 2023 after an 18-year marriage. While it's unclear if this was a romantic date or just a friendly hug, hey, c'est la vie. But we know what's going on here, don't we? Trudeau is an absolute scumbag rotter. Thank God he's no longer the Prime Minister of Canada, and we know he booted his wife so that the moment he was no longer a globalist in power, he could go for the girls. And he's gone for the ultimate girl. I kissed a girl, Katy Perry, although it's fair to say she's hardly at the peak of her career. But I'm shocked by this one. Let me bring in my superstar panel, Elizabeth Fox and Leilani Dowding. As far as gruesome twosomes go, Leilani, I think we've just discovered the new one.
Yeah, wow. Justin and Katy together at last. They were fated for each other. I want to close the show today with a great video from Sean Feucht. Of course, we talked about a lot last week. Sean will be my guest on the show next week. He will be talking about his experiences in Canada and what he expects when he comes back in August. In fact, well, by the time we talk to him, it will be August. But let's listen to a bit of this, because this is a courageous man who demonstrated how bankrupt Canada's democracy has become.
Good evening, everyone. I'm coming to you live from the back of our bus. Me and our plant, our one plant. Man, tonight in Toronto was wild. I just wanted to come on here quickly. I want to welcome all of you new followers, you guys that have jumped on this wild God journey that we've been on the last week. Want to reiterate, this was a controversy and a wild week that we did not plan for, we did not provoke, we did not try to make happen. But sometimes God inserts you into a storyline of history, and over the last 2 days at least, this has been one of the most talked about trending topics on social media, has been the canceling of worship, the fining of churches, Antifa attacking us inside of a church. It's been a wild ride. But I wanted to share a quick testimony, and just hopefully this encourages you guys tonight. We just finished in Toronto, and you know, we never do Let Us Worship events inside of a church. We always do them outside. They're evangelistic, right? The purpose is the church has left the building, to go outside. And so it's very rare for us to do a gathering like this inside of a church. I love ministering inside of churches. In Canada, for the last 20 years, I've been leading worship across Canada. I've mostly done it inside of churches. However, the last 3 years, I've only done stuff outside. But tonight was really significant because it was our first, one of the first times we've gone inside of a church. And I felt like we were supposed to do it. We had all these epic venues planned along the nation outside in different epic places. They were all canceled. We paid for them. We had the insurance. We had all the stuff. We had the porta potties. We had everything planned. And they were canceled. And God had other plans. And He's been showing us His plans, right? So Toronto, this church has been so significant with the history of revival, what God did there in the 90s through the Toronto blessing that touched the world. I know so many people that got wrecked and found their calling and mandate from God in Toronto. Specifically, people that were burnt out, disillusioned, discouraged, hopeless. They came there. It was like they found new life. They got a new calling. They felt the touch of God's presence like never before. So it's a very significant place. And so it was very like sobering tonight to be able to gather there in such a tumultuous time and week. And I felt like tonight was about the Church of Canada. Like it was about going back to the foundations of revival and reminding each other, listen, the outpouring of the Holy Spirit, the purpose of it is to make us bold. No more weak Christianity, no more passive Christians, no more apathetic, no, we are called to be the righteous or as bold as lions.
Leave it at that for now, because I'm going to have Sean on the show next week to talk about these things. I wrote a column for Human Events last week. I sent it to Sean. He reposted that on his X site, and he said that's exactly what I've been talking about. That's exactly what I talked about in Toronto last night, because the headline was, Sean Feucht hasn't given up on Canada. Canadians shouldn't give up either. So it was a more positive message than I was originally envisioning, because a lot of people have given up on Canada. I don't think we should give up just yet. I think we should shake this country up as much as possible. We should tell the government how we feel about these issues. We could keep pushing back, keep resolving to resist. And I'll have more about this when I return after this brief message for our merchandise. I love that one that says Creighton's right in nobody's pocket. Because I'll criticize any political party, any politician, if I think they're not talking truth. And that's important. I think Sean Feucht was talking truth when he was in Canada, and that's why he upset the politicians from Mark Carney on down to mayors. And this was a collusion of woke politicians. They were all working together, including Stephen Guilbeault, the guy in charge of the parks in Canada. Did you know that? He's the Minister of Canadian Identity, whatever the hell that is. He used to be the Minister of Heritage. They changed the title of the Ministry of Heritage to the Ministry of Canadian Identity when Mark Carney was elected Prime Minister. So that's who was advising these people to cancel Sean. Can't wait to have Sean on the show next week. This is going to be exciting. Don't give up yet, folks. We're going to keep fighting. We're going to keep resolving to resist. We're going to keep the government on the run. Whether it's your local school board, your local township, your local mayor of the city, whether it's your province, like Doug Ford, the Premier of Ontario, he's as woke as they get, or whether it's Mark Carney. And we're going to tell Pierre Poilievre to stay the course and to hold the line, because that's what conservatives, small c conservatives, principled conservatives, and principled libertarians are all about. God bless all of you in BC. We're praying for you. We love you. And all of my good friends from Highlands Secondary School who are still living there. And I'll tell you, I wish I was. I miss it. But I'll be back. I'll be back. Thanks for watching today. It's been a pleasure. Keep resolving to resist. And God bless this country, and Godspeed to all of you. And thank you for watching today. I'll be back again tomorrow, probably an hour earlier, because I'd like to get out to the beach, which I never get out anymore. Thanks for watching. We love you. God bless you.